Hey everybody, this is Sliders Prime. And so I was thinking a couple of days ago about so I was thinking about sliders, right? And I was thinking about one huge flaw that the show always had. And the way I came up to this conclusion was kind of funny. So a couple of nights ago, I was watching this Japanese movie called High Kick Angels, not to be confused with High Kick Girls. So anyway, in High Kick Angels, this is like 10 years ago, like made, so there's like a gang that's fighting a group of girls, and one of the gang members had like a face mask on. And remember, this is 10 years ago, so before the pandemic and everything. So I thought to myself, oh, okay, he must be sick or something like that. So he decided to, he could still fight. So he just didn't want to get nobody sick. So he's wearing like a face covering and stuff, which is just kind of awkward to see in the movie, but I guess it happens a lot over there. You know what I'm saying? And so, because I've heard Jackie Chan and Jet Li say, Asian movies are filmed completely different than like American movies and stuff. He said, we have like more rules and stuff like that, and they just do things because they're on a tight budget and they only have a limited time to film and stuff like that, right? And so that face mask started making me think about the pandemic, of course. And then I remember back in my college days, a million years ago, me and my friend, God, we were bored that one Friday night. And so we were just like driving around town looking for something to do, but we didn't feel like going to like a club or nothing like that. And we didn't feel like going way out to the beach. And so like we were just bored, and somehow we just ended up of all places in like a Chili's like parking lot. They didn't go inside Chili's. We were just in the parking lot standing next to the car and just talking, which is something me and him used to do a lot. Like if we would say like we'll go somewhere, right, after we'll get through like going someplace, we will just end up in the parking lot and talk for hours and crap. And I remember seeing this one Asian lady walking at night, and she had like a face covering around like her mouth. And so I thought, oh, she must be sick. And of course, that's what they do in Asian countries a lot. It's not very common here in America if you say have like the flu. So all of that caused me to think about this one comment somebody left on my page one time. And it was when I was talking about like my favorite episodes of season 1. I'm gonna see if I can find this comment. If not, I'll just give like the gist of what's it about. So like I was talking about, remember that one really sick episode of Sliders where everybody got sick? There was like a plague, and Wade got like really sick, and it was like the Q virus and stuff like that. And I talked about how like that's one of my favorite episodes. When the pandemic started, I started thinking about that episode and stuff like that. And somebody said something along the lines of nobody in that episode, not one single person, wore like a face mask. So they weren't really accurate to how a real epidemic or pandemic will play out. And I thought to myself, that person is right. You know what I'm saying? Like, not one person wore like a face covering. Now, one reason why is probably just because, like, we didn't really have no epidemics or pandemics around in like the 90s. So creative team probably just didn't think that way. However, this person who left the comment is extremely right. And it made me started thinking about other Slider episodes. And then I started thinking about that one episode that's my all-time least favorite, that has to do with like that real life flame that would come alive, and how America had like tons of oil and stuff like that. And I said, when I was complaining about that episode, I said how like I wanted to see more of what America would be like if we had tons and tons of oil and not the Middle East. And so that started me thinking about other episodes, and now this video. And so when it comes to Sliders, as great as the show was, there was always one huge major flaw. And I'm not talking about like the wackiness of season 3 with all the monsters and stuff. I'm not talking about the dreaded season 5 or like, cast change ups and stuff like that. The one biggest flaw that every season has, and just about nearly every episode has, is that they really don't never really fully go there in some episodes, Like, and it's quite a shame because it's kind of like they will come up with a great concept, right? About how like a parallel Earth is different from ours, and it's a reason why it's different. And so when the sliders are there, sometimes we learn a little about that world, sometimes we learn a lot about that world, and sometimes we really don't learn nothing, but then it's just shoehorned in like a one sentence dialogue of what that world is like Summer of Love and everything. And that is one major like complaint I would have to give this show and everything. Is that I get it, it's a 40 something minute show. It's a drama, adventure, sometimes action, comedy type show, and also sci-fi. So there's so much they can only do. I get that. And they have to keep people entertained with like, the drama and the adventures and the sci-fi-ness and the action. I get that too. But when you come up with the concept of like, a parallel Earth, and that Earth is different, and that Earth has some type of parallel that makes their Earth inferior to that of our own, it would be nice if they would have delved deeper into that Earth, and so we can get to know it a little bit better. And not only get to know it a little bit better, but how not to screw our world up at the same time. And it will also be nice if the sliders sometimes, they don't always have to do this, but sometimes they do, where they will fix this other world. And I do like it when they fix this other world and stuff, because this other world is like, in bad shape, and they give their expertise on how to fix it. But in episodes like, I can't remember the titles of these names anymore. It's the one. Okay, there was 2 episodes where women ruled the world, not in season 1, but in season 2. The ones where women wanted to have babies, and like, men that are still, because there was a virus that took men out, and there was a couple that was still there, and they put those in camps, and the men in the camps had to like bang the certain women that was chosen to, carry on like, the population and stuff. And in that, the professor said he could have taught these people how to repopulate their world in a matter of like minutes than what they're doing, which is really stupid. And normally in sci-fi shows, you do see that. And when it's like that show Creamery and everything, which now got renewed for a 3rd season. Like, men died because of a virus. Women have placed, like, because, there's only so much, like, okay, I can't even say this word on YouTube no more because of all like the censorship and everything. Men's happy juice. Let's call it that. Their happy juice and everything. They have some stored in that show for like the government. Only certain people can have it, but it finds out there's a way they get this happy juice. Men that have survived, they have kidnapped and placed under like imprisonment, and they pump them full of their juice and everything. And so that's normally what you see in these sci-fi type shows. But when you stop and you think about it, why in Sliders wasn't there a happy male juice like supply and everything? Why weren't there like banks of this stuff? Why weren't there what is it called, IVF and everything? Why didn't they do that? You know what I'm saying? And I get it, because in this other world, they haven't thought about that stuff yet. And so, or they just don't know what that is, so they haven't created it. Like that one world where everybody got sick, there was no penicillin or nothing like that. So I get that, what I'm saying? I get they haven't thought about IVF and stuff like that. But this is when the slider should be like, hey, there is a thing like that, and you can assimilate a woman's egg with a man's happy juice and everything, and like you can repopulate your world that way instead of doing it the barbaric way that you're doing it. And the professor touched on this, but he did not explain it in any kind of detail, really. And so the show ended with them not helping this world out in any way, shape, or form, because they were prisoners and they just wanted to escape. And I was just kind of like, this could have been a very like valuable lesson on teaching people about IVF and, because, and all this other crap, and like, help that world out, but instead they didn't. And there's been a couple of episodes, not all, but there's been a couple of episodes that are like that and everything. Like, I can't think of none off the bat right now. Oh, maybe that world where they first found Colin and they thought technology was bad and he's some type of witch or something like that. Or he's just some kind of weird person, but it's kind of like, no, technology is very vital. Also, there's that other episode in season 4 where we had the two Maggies, where Maggie saw her dead husband, and like Quinn and everybody was on the other world where technology is bad, and El Diablo and everything. And so like they could have went on that world and be all like, hey, technology's not really all that bad. And you really could use it and, instead of living your lives the way it is and stuff. And so it was always those missed opportunities, like, in episodes where they just didn't fully go there. Like, Summer of Love, there was no life lesson whatsoever taught. It was just a comedic episode. And then let's not forget about the real season 3 premiere episode where Quinn met that female version of himself. They have brownouts because they don't have that many resources. So what do they want to do? Well, they want to create sliding to go to other worlds and pillage from them and everything. But how come the sliders couldn't help them out and be like, hey, instead of stealing from other people and everything, why not figure out, like, tell the audience what exactly is wrong with their world and why are they running out of resources, and then try to help them out? Because, hey, one day we might get like that, you know what I'm saying? There's also that not national, but natural selection world where it was the lottery, where they have a lottery system to where their world is overpopulated and they don't have enough resources in season 1 finale. And so what they do, they have a lottery where you get to have like a week of having like fun and everything and have whatever you want. And then you have to off yourself and everything. And some people felt this was barbaric, other people did not. And there was a good discussion in that episode with the sliders and everything about how this is wrong, and and how this is one argue this is like the belief. I kind of wish they would have went a bit further with that, what I'm saying? But still, that was a good episode. And they did get the gist of like, what was the problem with that world and stuff. But it would have been nice for them to like, go deeper, probably more into their politics of why they do that and stuff, And so like, and I get in a world like, say, like World's End. I think I don't know if it's the title or not, but like the one where it's like some type of thing from outer space, like not a comet, but like a meteorite or asteroid or something like that, and hit the Earth, and they had to send up a nuke up there to like blast it and everything. And that's like, okay, that's cool, what I'm saying? Like, they helped save the day and everything, and there really wasn't much of that world to where they could fix because it's just a typical world, you know what I'm saying? And so like I can understand an episode like that can be like, you don't have to go into like a deep dive of what their world is like. But other worlds where things are so different from ours, it would be nice to go into like a deep dive into like, what that world is like and how you have a better solution to like fix that world. Like, the one where everybody's sick and nobody's wearing masks, and like, there was no penicillin, so they helped create penicillin on that world and stuff like that. And because, for the most part, that's a really good episode. But then you stop and look and you're like, well, if they're all sick and scared of getting germs, why isn't anybody wearing any face coverings? Why aren't they social distancing and stuff like that? And so that is one problem that Sliders had in terms of writing. Is just that, like, they didn't always go into detail as to what a world was truly like and the solutions and how it came to be and stuff like that in a way they could fix it using our, like, real world vast knowledge and stuff. It reminds me of a complaint somebody had about Doctor Strange 2, The Multiverse of Madness. They said they went to these parallel worlds, but you didn't really learn nothing from those parallel worlds. So for one, where like you can use music to like hurt a person and stuff. But other than that, honestly, you really didn't learn much about those other worlds and stuff like that. Other than, I think, like a traffic light, like red means to go and green means to stop, and that's about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it really would have been nice if they would have delved deeper into the mythology of those worlds that they created and stuff. And but like I said before, I get it's an adventure show, but it's just kind of like just it would have been nice to delve deeper. Also, that reality world where it's kind of like a reality show, but they actually kill people for like sport and they think it's fun. They could teach the world, hey, this ain't cool, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like why do y'all do this stuff for? And here's a solution for you to do it. Also, that world where it was like Sherlock Holmes. It was a world that we know where people work so many hours a day and they all dress very similar in business suits and they're really, really strict about rules, but they're also very stressed out. And so to relieve that stress, they go to theme parks and they do this like, theme park theme type stuff. And it's kind of like, I'm curious, how did the world become the way it did? Why is it overworked? What's another, they could have taught them another way to relieve their stress other than going to these theme parks where somebody actually snaps and starts killing people and stuff. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it would have been nice if they would have gave a solution to help those people and stuff. But, they never did and stuff. And so it's just, and also World Killer was another episode I was thinking about that came me to think about this video. Like how I said I was happy that, they went to another world, but you didn't see twins or triplets and stuff like that. It would have been nice to see twins because, you have two sets of worlds that are combined now, or the people, and not combined, it's the people that are from one world went to another world. So it would have been nice to see twins, but we didn't get to see that, and it would have been nice if they would have done that. But it was interesting to see how the world got screwed up. Like, it's literally like, Back to the Future 2 in that alternate timeline where everything's just corrupt. And that's because there's too many people there. So it's nice to see that as an effect of all those people being on that world. But it would have been nicer to see twins, interacting with each other, being like, oh, you're from this world and you act differently than me, and blah, 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 and stuff like that. So it's things like that I wish they would have went deeper into and stuff. And that's always been like a flaw of Sliders. So if they ever get rebooted or ever have a revival, I wish they would fix that and everything. They don't have to get too preachy about how this world is, because you have to have adventure and action and stuff. But just give some details, you know what I'm saying? Like, cut out some of the dialogue and put in some information,